Well, hello, greetings to all of you curious souls out there. Welcome to my very first video. Although I do hope to learn and grow and get better equipment to better share my story with you all, I'm not going to let that stop me from starting with where I am and what I have now. That being said, I am really excited to share with you the weirdest thing I can possibly imagine. But first, I should really introduce myself. My name is Hazel, also known as Urban Sage. I live in the West Desert of the United States. I've been running around quite a bit this year. You could say I'm a bit of a nomad. With a purpose, that is. A rebel with a cause, if you will. I've been traveling in search of the perfect property for a long-term vision. And when I say long-term, I mean for generations to come. All this footage you'll see throughout this video is from my expedition through the Western Desert this year. I'm an advocate and an activist that believes in bringing power back to the people. That we, the people, are on the same side, and that the enemies are the corrupt elite who have us working to fulfill their agendas rather than our own. These people rely on our hate and our fear and separation and division from each other to carry out their mission. Without these things, it is physically impossible for them to fulfill their mission of taking the power of the people for themselves. This is why it is my mission to unite the people. Ultimately, I decided to create this channel to share about some important things that we the people need to be aware of, but more on that later. As you can probably already tell, I love nature, but it's much more than that. I love life and all of the mysteries surrounding it. I was first inspired to create this video last winter when I was living in Austin, of all places. But I was in Texas as part of my exploration to buy land. I already knew that I loved the sun, but what I learned was that I never, ever want to live in a place without mountains again. After living in Austin, I was more than ready to get back to my desert roots. This desert is my home. Cities do have their benefits, so much opportunity and ways to get connected to incredible people and the amazing things that they're creating, but my introverted nature can't resist a place that offers a myriad of solitude, quite like the desert. Some people think that the desert is stern because it tells a tale of hardship, slowness, and resilience. But the truth is, I think the desert is secretly kind. No matter how difficult life may seem, there is nothing as sweet as the gentleness of this moment. I like to take a deep breath and feel the sun on my skin, and the breeze in my hair, a reminder that I am just a little piece of the world here to perceive the magnificence of it all. These prickly plants may at first glance seem intimidating, but have you ever seen a flower so inviting? The desert isn't stern, hard, or mean, just a bit reserved, reserving her beauty for those who dare to take a chance, reserving her kindness to those patient enough to experience it for themselves. The truth is, the desert tells a tale of character over personality. She doesn't tell you what you want to hear just to save face. She's solid, having substance. She communicates because she has something to say, not because she has to say something. The desert is raw. She isn't covered in water, but that just reveals what's underneath. These ancient beings, mountains, rocks, far older than humanity, the wisdom they hold, the stories they could tell. The desert is not said to be an open book, but that doesn't mean it's got a chain and a lock. All you have to do is care enough to read it. The desert isn't brutal, just because she expects you to carry your own weight. She tells a tale of adaptability. Something about this desert reminds me of my humanness, and how our humanness is simply part of this earth. So beginning in April, I started traveling around in my adventure suburban, in search of land, in search of opportunity. I love to be alone almost more than anything, but I must admit that traveling this year has been really lonely, scary at times too. It wasn't the determining factor, but it did contribute to the list of reasons why I should go forward with something that I've always wanted to do. It was a big decision, but ultimately I decided to adopt a dog. Her name is Clover. She's a 40-pound Border Collie Lab mix. So in May, at 8 months old, Clover set out on an adventure of a lifetime. So yes, she has officially joined me on my mission to find the perfect place to buy land. She's been quick to adapt and a perfect companion. After I left Texas in the early spring, I've been living without a home ever since. A home without wheels, I should say. Clover has taught me a lot about home truly being where your heart is. Life is always changing, but there is something constant about who I am and what I'm creating, and that's what I'm here to share with you. So, who am I? Outside of what I do, I'm reserved, strong willed, and quietly ambitious. I like and take on responsibility. In this weirdo digital world, I used to be known as Homestead Hazel because I've always had what I describe as the homesteading spirit. But the name didn't quite fit since I don't actually have a homestead. I've always liked to demonstrate how anyone can live a life of sustainability and self-sufficiency no matter where you are. Hence why I now go by Urban Sage. A play on words, so no matter if I'm urban or rural, I'll continue to share my insight and perspective on how to be more connected to the land, the elements, and nature. Never forgetting that also includes us. I have a tendency to be introspective, and I need some space and seclusion in order to draw my strength. I do have a really rich inner world, and at times I overly identify with the inner world of my mind to the point where I feel really alone in a crowd. Although I avoid the spotlight, I do like to work in the social domain. A passion for building community is kind of an enigma for someone as introverted as I am. As I said before, I'm fascinated by people and life. I do passionately love people and bringing people together. I feel best when I'm contributing to a better world. I feel empowered by putting my energy towards change rather than acceptance of the corruption that exists among us. But my compassion and empathy sometimes tend to work against me by reinforcing my own sense of loneliness. And that brings me to the truly weirdest thing that I can possibly imagine, and that is being normal. Like, it's normal to accept corruption. It's normal to support exploitation and slave labor. It's normal to destroy the very earth that sustains us. It's normal to just do whatever you're told and not wonder why. Not wonder who is deciding all these things that we should do. How weird it is to be normal. It's natural for me to question tradition. I naturally rebel against that which is established. That doesn't mean I consistently break all of the rules, but I do consistently question them. So yes, now that you know a little about who I am, you might be wondering what it is exactly that I do. Aside from being an advocate, artist, creator, and entrepreneur, the term I identify with most is community organizer. The truth is, I do a lot of things. You could say I wear a lot of hats. But speaking of hats, I must say before we go any further, please do not ask me where I get my clothes. I often get questions about fashion and clothing, which is really counter mission for me. I want to be clear that I never want to encourage anyone to go out and buy more clothes. One of the communities that I've organized is called Ethical Earth Economy, where we focus on building an economy that gives back to the earth. All of my clothing is secondhand. I'd much rather inspire you all to vote with your dollar. What are you really supporting when you buy tomatoes grown in China or flowers grown in Mexico? Transportation, pesticides, pollution, exploitation of workers. If you're able to pay the same amount or even less for a tomato grown in your neighborhood versus a tomato literally grown on the other side of the world, where is that money going? Every time you spend your money, you cast a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. Every time you consume anything, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, you cast a vote for the type of world you want to live in. If you want to see businesses and corporations using more ethical or sustainable practices, support businesses using ethical and sustainable practices. This is one of the many reasons I started Conscious Business Network. It is our responsibility as consumers to do the research and to be conscious with our attention and our consumption. But it's things like this that remind me why we need a better society. A society that gets us back to our roots, nature, earth, the elements. A society that is actually supportive of our overall wellness, which brings me to the next community, Elemental Society, which is literally a coalition for a better world. So yes, Elemental Society, Conscious Business Network, and Ethical Earth Economy. Those key words, society, business, and the economy, right now are all moving in the opposite direction of what we the people actually want. Their agenda is to destroy every square inch of nature, where they are not actively developing and turning the world into a concrete, paved, civilized dystopia, then they are actively trying to pretend like they can do what nature can do better than the earth itself. There have been corrupt elites specifically say they don't think that we need rainforests, that we can use that land to create monocrops, and that it will be the same. I certainly hope that they don't actually believe that, but is that even worse, that they don't believe these things, but they're still willing to destroy the Earth, home of all known life forms, for their own selfish gains in their individual tiny lives? What society really wants is for nature to thrive. Health, community, connection, ecosystems, and sovereignty over our own lives. And the powerful of the world are literally doing everything that they can to move us, the people, further away from those things and instead create dependency on a select few elites for food, for water, and dare I say it, even for our thoughts. You know, we've reached some weird times when the mind and spirit of the people is the battlefield. Operation Occupy. We must recognize that we, the people, are on the same side. Power to the people. I was recently accused of being right-wing. That offends me. Don't let that have you believe that I'm left-wing either. Wing of what? The plane of corruption or propaganda? Left-wing or right-wing, it doesn't really matter. Maybe the focus should be on what we're flying. It's all just a guise to keep us fighting with each other because we know that for anything to fly, we need both wings. My motto is love everyone, hate the state. The truth is, I really do think that if we the people can come together, we can overcome so much of the corruption in this current system, as well as solve a lot of the problems this age is plagued with. So although I talk a lot about the world's problems, I only do that because I believe that we the people can make an impact. No one owns the earth. We are all elemental citizens of this planet. Because as long as we remain divided, distracted, we're easier to control. We the people absolutely must. It is our duty to come together for a better world, because there is such a strong agenda to keep us separate. And as long as we continue to separate ourselves from one another, the less chance we have to stand together against the true enemies, and the more power we give to a select few running the world to fulfill their agenda rather than our own. As American cultural anthropologist Margaret Mead said, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. With all this community building I'm so passionate about, I can't help but think it's a good idea to have a place to actually physically gather. But more so than that, it's about the earth. If each person on this planet were to cultivate a healthy ecosystem on a small scale wherever they reside, we have the power to transform the world back to the paradise it once was. But because we can't actually convince everyone in the world to do that, maybe we can simply organize a group of people already aligned with these values. So yes, there are so many reasons why I'm on the search for the perfect property. There's a lot to consider with the whole concept, but more and more I've been finding myself drawn to a property outside of the US. Which is why, as some of you may already know, I'll be spending the next couple of months in Guatemala working on a collaborative business project with Conscious Business Network. And of course, as always, looking for the perfect property. So yeah, now that you have a brief overview of who I am and what I do, I guess you could say I'm a mouthful of things, but in the end, if you ever forget, just remember I'm a lady who wears a lot of hats. And I have to say truly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a part of this beautiful community we're creating. I'm sending you right now all of the love and good energy of this incredible desert straight from me to you. Stay tuned for my next video where I'll be sharing all about my Guatemalan experience. Be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, leave a comment below and I'll try to answer it in the next video. As you know, this is my first video, and you can probably already tell that we have a lot to talk about that wouldn't make the internet overlords very happy. So I would urge you right away to find, follow, and sign up for every route of communication available for us, because it's only a matter of time before they try to intervene. Until next time, stay true, take care, and I'll see you again very soon.